Shuckle can deal the most damage with a single attack. Not. It's been said that its Ice Ball can hit for over 721 million damage, but that's a misconception. So what's up, fellas? I'm Matt, and today we're gonna explore what's happening here. We'll talk about the damage formula's limits, as well as how every single Pokemon can reach the highest possible damage and then some. Alright, let's get started.
What's up? I'm Elias, and today's video is going to focus primarily on Gen 5 onwards, since that's the last time the damage formula got a major update. Let's start by taking a look at the famous Shuckle setup from Gen 6, then we'll talk about why it doesn't actually deal 700 million damage. It's a long and complex setup, but at the most basic level, it boils down to two things: min-maxing each Pokemon's stats, and stacking as many multipliers as possible.
Shuckle has the highest defense stat in the game, but we can make it the highest attack stat by using Power Trick. Then we can maximize its attack stat with 3 uses of Swagger, courtesy of everyone's favorite guy, Smeargle. The victim of the setup is a level 1 Noibat, because it's the frailest Pokemon in the game that's 4 times weak to Ice Ball. That move can reach 960 power after 5 turns, so it's a great choice for big damage setups. Then we can lower Noibat's defense by 6 stages with Screech to deal even more damage. Hello, Elias, are you a big fan of Smeargle?
Yes, actually. The next step is adding in 1 million more multipliers to boost the final Ice Ball to absurd levels of strength. That includes the abilities Protean, Pure Power, and Flower Gift, the held item Metronome, and the moves Helping Hand, Defense Curl, Me First, and Sunny Day. You also need to use Forest's Curse to give Noibat a tertiary grass type, Skill Swap to pass abilities around, and Mimic to allow Shuckle to copy Me First, which in turn is used to copy Ice Ball. Assuming the final Ice Ball lands a critical hit, and you get the highest possible damage roll, Noibat will take 721,898,981 damage. In theory. Let's talk about what's happening under the hood.
Starting in Gen 5, the last part of the damage formula is a little dose of modular arithmetic. The calculation ends with mod 65,536, meaning the game won't let you deal more damage than that. If the formula would otherwise spit out a number that's too high, it'll effectively divide that number by our modulus of 65,536, and the actual damage taken will be the remainder of that equation. 721 million is obviously way too high for the formula, so it's going to be lowered substantially by this part of the calculation.
When Shuckle fires off the final Ice Ball at Noibat, it only actually deals about 20,000 damage. Don't get us wrong, that's still an absolute ton, and it's more than enough to knock any Pokemon out. But our point is that the game isn't actually applying 721 million damage to an innocent, citation needed, defenseless, citation needed, Noibat. Usually when you see people talk about these big damage setups, they'll be framed as things you can actually do in game, which isn't the case. Technically. That's a technicality, right? It's technically not the case.
We should take the full damage formula into consideration, like...
That's true. Never mind, don't say technically.
You said technically. Even if the Shuckle shenanigans did do 700 million damage, its Ice Ball still wouldn't be anywhere near the strongest single attack in the game. The main reason for that is a glitch called Rollout Storage. Rollout and Ice Ball double in power each turn you use them consecutively. If you land 5 Ice Balls in a row without missing, the 5th one will be 16 times stronger than the first. If you use Defense Curl, you can double the move's damage yet again, resulting in a final multiplier of 32 times.
But if you hit Mimikyu's Disguise while you're building up your chain, the multiplier won't increment properly. After the 5th rollout or Ice Ball, the 32 times multiplier will be stored, and it'll get applied to the next attack you use instead. Hypothetically, we could use Rollout Storage in combination with a stronger move and deal over 20 billion damage with one hit. Rollout Storage only exists in Gen 7 as of now, although it was also patched out of Gen 8. Nowadays, you could also use Last Respects to make brutal setups. This move starts at 50 power, but it gains another 50 power each time a Pokemon on your team faints. By using an ungodly amount of revival blessings, you can bring your Pokemon back to life over and over and over and over and over, and have them faint 100 times. In this case, Last Respects will finally max out at 5,050 power. If the damage cap didn't exist, a single Last Respect could deal nearly 8 billion damage with the right preparation. It's not quite as strong as Rollout Storage, but it's still way stronger than the Shuckle setup from the beginning.
Hey, fellas, leave a comment with any irrational fears that you have. I'll start. I have a fear of tape measures because one time I cut my lip open with one when I was 4.
Is that an irrational fear?
Alright, so you can't deal millions of damage in one hit, but what about the damage cap of 65,000 and change? How many Pokemon can exceed that amount of damage with one hit? Well, we did a little tinkering, and it turns out that it's all of them. Every single Pokemon in the game can overflow the damage formula, and proving that is pretty straightforward.
What's the fear of long words?
Hippopotomonster sesquipedaliophobia. Anti-disestablishmentarianism.
We'll start with the move Struggle. It's the only attack in the game that's truly universal because every Pokemon can use it if they don't have any other moves to click. So if we show that the weakest Pokemon can hit the damage cap with Struggle, then we'll know that every other Pokemon can do the same. So we'll start with Chansey as our attacker because it's tied for the lowest base attack stat in the game. Since we want to deal the most possible damage with this Chansey, we're going to make it level 100, give it an adamant nature, and max out its attack EVs and IVs.
Next up, we need to look for the frailest level 1 victim. The Pokemon with the lowest defense stat is... Right, that's also Chansey. Great. Turns out we're simulating a fight at a family reunion. Oh well, the show must go on. To make things just a little clearer though, we're gonna use Chansey as our attacker and Happiny as our victim. They have the same base attack and defense stats as each other, and those are the only stats we're concerned about.
Is it Happiny or Happiny?
Apparently it's Happiny, I looked it up today.
Happiny also has a lower HP stat, but that doesn't make a difference today. We're just concerned with the total amount of damage this pink blob takes, rather than the percentage of its health bar. We'll give Happiny the worst possible defense stat by minimizing its EVs and IVs and giving it a hasty nature. With all this set up in place, Chansey can deal 1,251 damage. Not bad, but we're not even close to the cap just yet.
I love how sometimes I tell you the official pronunciation of a Pokemon, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna call it that, but then you also still say Whooper and Vullaby.
Yeah, man, because it's a Whooper and Vullaby.
You're fired. Now let's stack on some multipliers like we did with Shuckle and Noibat. If we raise Chansey's attack and lower Happiny's defense by 6 stages each, that'll multiply the damage by 16. We can also skill swap the ability Huge Power or Pure Power onto Chansey, and add in Helping Hand to boost its damage by another 50%. Now we're sitting at 59,978, so all we need to do is add a critical hit, which will take us over the damage cap. With all these multipliers in place, Chansey will do 89,967 damage, which rolls over to 24,431.
Every single Pokemon's attack stat is equal to or higher than Chansey's, and they can all use Struggle by running out of moves. That means that every Pokemon can max out the damage formula with the same method, and then some. This setup applies to every main series game from Black and White to the present day. That excludes Legends Arceus though, cause it's got its own weird formulas, and also no link battles. We're not touching that stuff with a 10-foot pole today. But there you have it, folks. Every Pokemon can hit the damage cap, then go even further beyond.
Today's video is also a retraction.
Was sponsored by Retracting.
No! Today's video is also a retraction of sorts. 2 years ago, I made a video about a 2 billion damage setup involving Rollout Storage and Sacred Fire, which I claimed to be the strongest possible attack. As you can tell from this video, that wasn't true. Camerupt can't deal 2 billion damage, and that was known information by the time I made the video. I didn't catch that in my research, so that's my bad. At the time, I thought the damage cap was much higher, and that this was the best setup that stays under that cap. I should have done this sooner, but that video has been set to private as of October 1st. The entire premise of the video has been proven wrong, so it doesn't really make sense to leave it up.
Modern Pokemon's damage cap doesn't make a difference in the vast majority of situations. You'll never have anywhere near 65,536 HP, let alone 700 million. But if two Pokemon have a massive difference in levels, it is possible to hit the damage cap, and it's not that difficult either. You could use the more complex methods from earlier, but there are much simpler setups that involve very few stat boosts.
During our research, we found a setup that involves Infernape using Focus Blast. That move can easily do over 100,000 damage to a level 1 Aron, and overflow the damage formula multiple times over. But if Infernape has a neutral nature and 32 special attack EVs, and Aron's special defense has been lowered by 3 stages, Focus Blast can deal exactly 65,536 damage, which rolls over to 0. A move that should knock Aron out 5,000 times over can do nothing. Fun fact, I told Elias about my fear of tape measures at the gym because I tried cable curls for the first time. The very first rep, I smashed the attachment directly into my mouth.
How?
And I start bleeding.
If we introduce more stat boosts, abilities, and items into the mix, we could make this Focus Blast do millions upon millions of damage. There's not much of a point, thanks to the damage cap, but you could craft a Focus Blast setup that would theoretically be strong enough to overflow the formula 200,000 times over. That being said, if you try to kill my beautiful boy 200,000 times over, I will call the police. With enough tinkering, you could also find setups that hit 65,535 on the nose, which is the most damage you can do before the formula rolls over.
You heard it here first, folks. Elias is Aron's biggest fan.
I do like Aaron. Aaron is cute.
If you want to do zillions of damage in one hit, Gens 5 through 9 are pretty much off the table. So are Gens 1 and 2, where you can't do more than 999 damage in a single hit. The damage cap is implemented differently in those games, though. If a neutral move does, say, 1,300 damage, the game will set the maximum damage roll to 999. Then the lower damage rolls are calculated based on that new value. The damage is automatically lowered to the highest valid value, instead of rolling rolling over to 0 and counting up again. That system works well for these games because the lowest damage roll in this case would be 850. Blissey is the fattest Pokemon in Gen 2, and its maximum HP is 713. So any move that hits the damage cap is a guaranteed KO, unlike the more recent games.
As far as we can tell though, you could do millions of damage in a few games. During our research, we tried to find damage. During Matt's research, he tried to find damage caps for every generation, and he didn't find one for Gen 3 or 4. Let's just be honest here. Let's just be honest. So in those games, it seems like the most damage you can deal is simply the biggest number you can make without any of this modular foolishness.
I am never gonna stop you for taking credit for my work on MEPlaysGames.
That doesn't make sense. I don't do anything. Okay, everybody show Matt some love. Thank him in the comments for all the great research that he's done for this channel.
Love you too, man. King the Luck made a few videos on this topic, where he went over the most possible damage in each generation. He came up with about 81 million for Gen 3, and 213 million for Gen 4. So you can't do 700 million damage in X and Y, and you can't do 8 billion in Scarlet and Violet, but it seems like you can do insane damage in some of the older games. So if you want to go beat up a Lediba in Pokemon Platinum, I will call the police. I mean, be my guest.
Don't get us wrong, we think the 721 million damage Shuckle setup is really neat. We posted a short about how it's a myth, and some of the comments said things along the lines of, yeah, that's all well and good, but 721 million is a way more interesting answer. We can get behind that, because pushing the game's mechanics to the limit is always a fun time. Ignoring the damage cap isn't inherently a problem, but we also think that if you do that, you should also provide the appropriate context.
King the Luck did just that in his videos. He did the calculations as if there were no limits, but he also acknowledged the damage caps at the beginning. So right off the bat, it's clear that his setups are only theoretical. I'm also the last guy who's ever going to tell you not to look for big numbers. I majored in math and I have over 200 hours on Balatro. I love big numbers, but these ones in modern Pokemon do come with an asterisk, because the game will never actually spit out numbers that are this high.
Anyways, welcome back to our new video. Today we'll be counting to 100,001 in a single video starting...
You're doing it. I'm going home.
Okay. At the end of the day, mod 65,536 is a part of the damage calculation, so we should be taking it into consideration when we're talking about this stuff. Ignoring it to create a more extravagant hypothetical is all well and good, but in that case, it should be framed as a hypothetical. If you want to pretend the cap doesn't exist and find a way to deal 800 quadrillion damage, more power to you. Just keep in mind that the game is allergic to numbers with more than 5 digits.
That being said, I may be deathly allergic to cable curls. Elias is deathly allergic to the hack squat. So who's the real winner here?
Me.
Are you?
Yeah, because I'm not scared of tape measures.
He's gonna hold this against me for the rest of our lives.
I know what I'm getting for you for your birthday.
I'm gonna gift it right back to you on your birthday.
All right.
I know what you mean. I'm being difficult.
Well, why don't you just be easy?
No. As your friend and your co-host, I need to be as insufferable as possible. Where were we? We have fun.
What? More fun. Like
Pneumono ultra microscopic silicovolcanokiniosis is the word you're looking for.
I'm so funny, dude. I'm so funny. I don't know how anybody could be funnier than me.
Welp, that's all we got for today. Leave a comment about Mantike. If you've been enjoying our videos, consider becoming a channel member for as little as 99 cents a month. You'll get early access to all of our videos, as well as bonus content like deleted scenes. If you want to hear Elias review an energy drink, or 2 grown men trying to figure out what Raid Shadow Legends deal is, you can click the join button on this channel. We'll see you all next time. Good night, fellas. Sleep well.